Hello, my girls and gays. Welcome back. As you can see, we are still using the hairbrush microphone. I'm loving it. So, unless one of you wants to buy me like an actual microphone, which I don't think it would be as fun. So, let's just keep this going. Today we're going to be diving into the women who have shaped my style, like my true fashion icons. I really took the time to sit down and try and think about little Sierra and what she was into and who she looked up to. Some came like immediately to me, like, like a Selena Gomez or a Miley Cyrus, but like the true things that I was obsessed with as a child that shaped the way I dress, the way I style, the way I even view fashion. I really only focused on my younger self from like ages, I want to say as young as like 6 to maybe middle school, because after that, like, I think I was more influenced by like people on Instagram or subcultures. Obviously, my style grows and changes and evolves every single day, and I'm constantly influenced by people, places, things, movies, art, you name it. But these women, I think, really shaped my style growing up and taught me a lot about personal style and getting dressed. And I think a couple of them I dress a lot like today. So it's interesting to see the parallels. Again, it's weighing heavy on my heart that I'm getting more views than I have subscribers. Don't you want to stay in touch with me? Don't you want to get a bell notification or something when I post a video? Just an idea. But seriously, thank you guys so much for all the amazing comments and messages and even just watching this. Like I hope you know I'm kidding. I truly love yapping to you guys. I love our little community of girls and gays. So let's get into it. Let's get into my fashion icons. What I believe to be my first true obsession with fashion was not Madonna, but it was very, very close to that. My first ever fashion icon was actually 5 girls, okay? Their names are the English Roses. The English Roses was a book series by Madonna. I don't know if I knew it was made by Madonna at the time I was like reading them. My mother surely knew because she was the one that bought me them. There were these gorgeous illustrations, and it followed like these 5 British girls. Each one of them had different personalities and different styles. And let me tell you, I would raid all of their closets today. I still think I dress like them, or at least it is so like in my subconscious to want to dress like them that I just do. It was so playful and charming. It was like an era in like the 2000s where like I feel like American culture was really obsessed with British culture. And so there was like a lot of that influenced in it. Obviously, I mean, it was set in the UK, but it had like a certain preppiness and charm to it that like I feel that American fashion at the time didn't have, because we were like fully in Y2K. I was probably reading these books at like maybe 6 years old, because I remember like getting ready for school and wanting to embody these girls. Like I would have actually have the books. I rebought the books. I should have just started out with this. These are the English Roses. These 5 girls are more fashionable than like anyone I know. Truly. Insane. I was obsessed with, I think, the redhead. I'll insert some photos of their outfits because that's why I rebought these books, is because I still pull inspiration from them today. There were so many looks with like fun tights and like Peter Pan collars and trench coats and like knee-length skirts and plaids and fun little hats and glasses. I know it sounds silly to say, but like there was like a sophistication to these girls, and me as a 6-year-old ate it up. Like they were so chic yet playful. The books were just so charming, and I was just utterly obsessed. You can kind of resonate with all of the girls because they all had like different personalities, and just depending on like what mood 6-year-old me was in was like would gravitate towards that sort of outfit. This one, like it will make me cry. I have such an attachment to Gwen Stefani. I think there's so many different parallels too. I remember like the first time I saw, I think it was the Cool music video. I have to like double check when that came out, but I was probably like 6 or 7, and I would just rewatch it. I was obsessed with Gwen Stefani. I think she was actually my first concert. No, Cheetah Girls and Hannah Montana was my first concert, but did get to see, no doubt. There's just so many reasons why I think Gwen shaped my personal style. It was just the perfect balance of like punk and tomboy, and she was such a badass, yet had like such a girly, like pinup 1950s playful side as well, and just so effortlessly cool. And I feel like all of her outfits were also like never fully one thing. Like she was never fully tomboy or punk or girly. She always incorporated both things. Like she would wear like a really high heel with like some cargos and a crop top and a skinny brow and a red lip and some pinup blonde curls, you know? I just remembered. It was Sweet Escape. I would watch Sweet Escape on loop for hours. There was three music videos I was obsessed with. Sweet Escape, Gwen Stefani, Toxic, Britney Spears, and Fergalicious by Fergie, obviously. No, London Bridge. London Bridge. Thank you. I need to rewatch that. Those are really, really iconic. And I think Gwen just being from Orange County as well. I think she's from Huntington or Long Beach, or I don't know. There's also, I think, that influence in her clothes. Like I assume like most people, like where you grow up influences the way you dress. Therefore, like me also being in close proximity to where she's from, I just felt so connected to her. I had all the Harajuku girl perfumes. I was obsessed. And there's also like that kind of London for some reason influence. Like for some reason I'm imagining her with like a British flag. I can remember correctly. There was like a lot of British flags happening in fashion in the 2010s. I'll have to look into that. Or maybe I was just a little bit obsessed. Who knows? Next is both Selena Gomez and Hannah Montana slash Miley Cyrus. Now, I don't think they had very similar styles. I mean, yes, there was probably like the Disney starter pack that they both were kind of thrown into. They're, I think, the same age, or at least were like, you know, on Disney at the same time. I was equally obsessed with both of them. And I included them in here not because I think their style back then influenced me today directly, but that is when I became a researcher, a hunter, if you will. Because I remember in like all of fifth and sixth grade, all I would do is like go on We Heart It's and go on like devoted websites to their style. And it would be like literally what we see on Instagram today of like, you know, Miley Cyrus's closet, and it would be a swipe of like everything they're wearing in a certain photo. I was addicted to all of those websites. Like I would refresh them every single morning before school. I would try to find pieces very similar to what they were wearing. Sometimes they would just be rocking like a Wet Seal number or Forever 21 number. That is when I became like a true investigator to getting pieces that I wanted. And now I do that today for archival runway pieces. Those two women are definitely the reason why. And I don't really follow Selena's fashion nowadays, but Miley, hands down, is one of the best dressed celebrities. Although I don't think I gravitate to her style now. Throughout the years, I'll always look at her. Like I feel like I can always pull something from her. Like she experiments so well, yet it feels so her. She just has such a good sense of who she is. Like throughout every era, no matter how drastically she's like, you know, swung, she just adapts, and she's like a chameleon. You can tell that she is herself in whatever she wears, you know? And that's why I think her style works so well. Now, this might be shocking, but Miuccia Prada, she was not my first designer I ever fell in love with. Miu Miu and Prada, I didn't fall in love with till way later in life. I did fall in love with Miu Miu pretty early though, because my mom would always go to the Miu Miu store at South Coast, and I was obsessed with everything in there. I mean, obviously, we could do a whole deep dive on Miu Miu. I mean, I won't go on a tangent on Miu Miu, but obviously knowing now that Miu Miu was created out of wanting like to fulfill that like child like playfulness that Prada wasn't. You know, Prada's like more of the grown-up woman and Miu Miu was the little sister. Growing up as a kid, obviously I didn't know that. it translated. Like I remember the store was like that same just iconic like baby blue everywhere, and everything had like big gems, and it was very playful. I remember all the shoes my mom would get because she was obsessed with Miu Miu shoes. They looked like blinged out toys. Like everything was just so adorable and so cute. Anyways, where was I going with that? Oh, back to our list. The actual first designer that I think has influenced my personal style, the way I dress, my addiction to shopping and fashion and clothes was Betsey Johnson. There was a store, and I don't remember the name of it, but there's a store at Fashion Island. They carried a couple, I think probably smaller designers, and they happened to carry Betsey. It was like magnetic. I remember going through all like the big accessories, like everything had big gems or big florals, the prints she used. There was that same like not fully girly, yet not fully punk, yet not fully tomboy. Like it was just that perfect balance. I don't know that silhouette, but it's almost like a cupcake dress and it had like tulle underneath. Her designs were so like electric yet still vintage. I think I was too small to probably fit at the clothes because it was like a, boutique at a mall. Wasn't for little girls. But I think I was able to fit in like one of the dresses and my mom bought me it. And then I was always just like obsessed with the accessories because it was a way to like buy into the brand without having to buy the clothes. It was like a punk princess dreamland. I would go on YouTube and watch. Maybe there was like an interview that Betsey did, or it was just one of her runways, and she would do like her little cartwheel, and she had all like her extensions showing and that little bob. She was just so rad and so cool. And I remember being like, that's exactly who I want to be when I grow up. Next is someone who I think a lot of people will probably be drawing inspiration from this year because her aesthetic is definitely on the rise, is Rachel Zoe, the queen of all queens. She was my first introduction that being a stylist could even be a job. She was on Bravo. When that show aired in 2008, my 8-year-old self was clocked in. I had just never really experienced people caring about clothes this much, and I felt so seen as an 8-year-old. I remember just being like, it's okay to care. From her personality to her style, every single day just would show up. I'm having like an epiphany as I'm talking right now, but I think she was one of the reasons why I'm very decisive, and especially about fashion. I know what always feels right to me, and I'm very good at just making a decision. And I feel like I don't know if I was taught that from Rachel or it's just something that has always been innate in me that she never doubted herself. Like she was just that girl. Goth bohemian, like 70s vibe. It was so chic. Everything was either just like black, white, cream, gray, just so good. Leather galore, her giant sunglasses, the way she talked. Brad, her assistant Brad, who works out at my gym, and he doesn't know it, but I'm like fully fangirl. Rachel Zoe was just such a pioneer, influenced my style at the time, but I think most of all, she has the biggest influence, even being able to think that fashion could be a career. She just is everything. She's iconic. And lastly, we have the one, the only, she's a fictional character, Margot Tenenbaum. This is because of Miss Margot. It is such a cliche for like an artsy fashion girl to be obsessed with Wes Anderson at a young age, but I'm sorry. Quentin Tarantino and Wes Anderson, they got me, okay? They got me. They got me at a ripe age of probably 8th grade, okay? It's definitely a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. I'm gonna focus on Margot Tenenbaum. I just looked up the costume stylist, Karen Patch. I'll have to look into what else she has done. I remember the first time I saw her on screen. She had her signature fur coat. She had like a beat up Hermes bag, which I didn't know was Hermes at the time. Looking back, it's like just how iconic of a choice. She had her classic cost pinstripe polo dress, which I need one. I had one in high school because obviously I had to copy her. She had her signature hair and her little barrette. And even the scene where she's like painting her toes in the sink, she has like this nude slip on. And the fact that it's played by Gwyneth Paltrow, who is just like one of my favorite actresses, it was a match made in heaven for me. There was again that vintagey, effortlessly cool look that I was just obsessed with. And then even though she was like a chain smoker, there was still like something very girly and innocent about her outfits. To me, she is just like the chicest character I've ever seen on screen because there was such a unique sense of style. I haven't had a style icon in a while. And I don't know if that's just because I'm older or like my taste has evolved. I know what I like. Obviously, I get inspiration all the time from different people, places, things, like I said. No, like one icon really sticks out to me. Right now, I think my big three are probably Nicole Kidman, and throughout her entire career, because she dresses very like girly, preppy, conservative almost in the 90s and 2000s, and then now she's like a full skin type Balenciaga diva, which I just think is so iconic. Madonna. I don't need to say anything. Madonna. Chloe Sevigny? Yeah, those are my big three right now. All right, my girls and gays, thank you so, so much for watching. It was really so fun to look back at all these eras and all these different women and be able to draw even more and new inspiration from them today. If you guys shared any of these icons with me, or maybe you have different icons, comment them below. Give me like top three, top five. Maybe you just have one. Maybe it's me. In all seriousness, I love you all, my girls and gays, so very, very much. Thank you for watching.